sale online, and not just any eggs. Also a new series, Countdown to 2000. Tonight, how science may help people live longer and better in the 21st century.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
And this is a special Western edition. Good evening. When the news came this morning, it sounded like the plot of a suspense thriller. A private jet flying, drifting across America with no one at the controls. The pilots and passengers apparently unconscious. But unlike a movie, there would be no dramatic rescue. The plane en route from Florida to Texas crashed way up in South Dakota. There were 6 people on board, as it turns out, including the pro golf champion Payne Stewart. There were no survivors. CBS's Bob Orr broke this story today and begins our coverage.
The burning wreckage, confined to a relatively small area, suggests the Learjet 35 likely crashed in a high-speed vertical dive. And investigators who have seen these pictures warn the fragmented wreckage may not give up many clues as to what went wrong. But tonight, crash experts from the NTSB left Washington to begin an investigation that will clearly focus on a possible pressurization problem with the aircraft. The twin-engine Learjet with golfer Payne Stewart and 5 others aboard left Orlando this morning at about 9:20 en route to Dallas. At 35,000 feet over Gainesville, Florida, the pilots asked for permission to climb. Air traffic controllers cleared the plane to 39,000 feet. The plane climbed, but sources say strangely the pilots did not acknowledge the command. It was 9:44 a.m. The Lear was never heard from again. The plane never turned towards Dallas, and controllers were unable to reach it by radio. At that point, with the plane climbing and off course, military fighter jets were scrambled to see what was going on. When the F-16s caught up with the plane, it was obvious the Lear's pilots were incapacitated.
To me, I noticed no exterior damage on the aircraft. I noticed that the front cockpit windscreen appeared to be fogged or frosted over from the inside, and that was the only thing that was out of the ordinary that I saw on the aircraft.
As the military jets flew alongside, the pilotless plane reached an altitude of 46,000 feet. As it crossed into South Dakota's airspace, the plane, short on fuel, started losing altitude. It crashed just west of the tiny town of Mina. Investigators suspect the plane somehow lost its pressurization. If that happens at high altitudes, the pilots and passengers could have passed out in a matter of seconds due to a lack of oxygen. It's also possible, investigators say, that the people on board the plane may have been overcome by some type of noxious fumes. The Lear 35 is a popular business plane with a safety record approaching that of large passenger jets. And pilots licensed to fly the Lear are trained to recognize and deal with the loss of pressure.
The scenario should take less than 10 seconds.
Investigators will examine the wreckage looking for things like holes and cracks in the plane's structure and evidence of broken seals, all possible signs of depressurization. And of course, they hope to gather lab reports on the victims if they're available that may confirm a lack of oxygen. Also, they are intrigued by reports from the F-16 pilots of frost on the Lear's windows. That might be a sign of cold outside air being inside the cabin. Dan?
Bob, what would those military pilots have done if the plane headed for a populated area?
Well, Dan, the Pentagon tells us that none of the fighters in the air at the time were equipped with air-to-air missiles. However, armed planes were available in Fargo had they been needed in a very extreme situation to shoot down the Lear. Now, that authority clearly rests with the president. The White House tells us while the president was informed of the situation, he was never asked to make a decision to fire. Dan?
Bob Orr in Washington, thanks. A short time ago, I talked with the man whose agency is leading the investigation, James Hall of the National Transportation Safety Board. And I asked him just how unusual this type of crash is.
We have had some similar events. There was an event that we are trying to get more information on that occurred in 1990. I believe it was in the southern part of the United States. We have had some events where a flight crew have lost consciousness for various reasons, but they are very unusual experiences.
Without passing any judgment on this case at all, under what circumstances would 2 pilots lose consciousness in such an aircraft?
Well, of course, this is a high-performance aircraft. It operates at an altitude really in excess of most of the commercial airliners. It has to be staffed by 2 professional pilots. if there was a sudden decompression of the aircraft, which could occur for various reasons, according to Dr. Garber, who is our NTSB physician, you would probably only be able to maintain consciousness for 10 to maybe a maximum of 15 seconds.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, that's as if something such as a door blew out or a window blew out.
Is something that caused a sudden decompression of the cabin at that altitude. There are obviously a number of things that could have happened to the structure or the systems that might have caused that type of failure. Again, we don't know whether we will be able in this situation to make that determination.
In addition to Payne Stewart, the victims were two of his business managers, a golf course designer, and the two pilots of the aircraft. Stewart was 42 years old and a 20-year veteran of the professional golf tour. He won 11 PGA tournaments, including 3 major titles. But as CBS's Richard Schlesinger reports, it was his style and dramatic flair that made Stewart one of the best-known figures in the game.
Payne Stewart stood out in a crowd for more than just his trademark flashy clothes. Those knickers everyone recognized.
The first tournament I wore them all 4 days in was 1982 Quad Cities Open opposite the British, and I won the golf tournament. And the rest is history. I've been wearing them ever since.
But just last June, he sank a 15-foot putt to win the U.S. Open for the second time in his career. It was a reminder that he made more than a fashion statement. His game spoke for itself.
If Payne Stewart never backed it up with winning any golf tournaments or doing well at playing golf, nobody had ever heard of Payne Stewart and the guy that wears the knickers. It would have been irrelevant.
In his career, Payne Stewart won 2 U.S. Opens and the PGA Championship in 1989. His victory on the final putt of the U.S. Open this year was a special kind of vindication. He lost the Open in 1998 by missing a similar putt.
Last year for Payne was clearly the most fulfilling professionally and personally. He would get choked up even talking about how he had changed as a person, how he had kind of rededicated his central focus in his life to his family.
For a while in his career, Stewart was called Avis because he was so consistently number 2 in tournaments. He turned that around and lived long enough to be called champion. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. Presidential ever-hopeful Pat Buchanan quits the Republican Party. Specialized human eggs for sale online. Sparked debate over bottom-line ethics. And she's 82, still going strong. Why there could be many more like this woman in the 21st century.
Thanks for making a leave. For almost 5 years, I often had a hard time walking. I went from doctor to doctor and even had surgery on both knees. Most pain relievers worked for a while, then quit, and the pain came back. Finally, a doctor suggested a leave. Soon I could dance all night again.
Aleve can stop pain all day with just 2 pills. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Now people say I'm a walking advertisement for Aleve.
All day strong, all day long.
Our latest innovation springs from a very old idea that heat cleans better. And so, Bissell introduces the only upright deep cleaner with an onboard heater. The new Power Steamer Pro Heat Plus from Bissell. Life's messy. Clean it up.
Look! Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Ellie's renting again. And Enterprise picked her up again. She said Enterprise picks her up free. Free? Free. Now that makes renting easy.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Yoo-hoo! Ready to go shopping?
Ready for a better way to get my fiber.
You'll have to concentrate. Huh? Concentrate on these new Phillips fiber caps.
New Phillips fiber caps don't contain sweeteners like most powders. They're the most concentrated fiber you can get, so they're just as effective as Metamucil.
And there's no sweeteners.
How do you know all that?
I used my concentration.
New Phillips fiber caps, effective fiber therapy without the powder.
In presidential politics, a shakeup today in the political landscape. Thunder on the right Republican Pat Buchanan left the Republican Party. He will now seek the presidential nomination of the so-called Reform Party, founded and once bankrolled by billionaire Ross Perot. CBS's Phil Jones has been looking into the potential political impact.
You don't know this peasant army. We have not yet begun to fight.
Having failed 3 times to get the Republican presidential nomination, Pat Buchanan bolted from the Grand Old Party.
And I have tried to be loyal to it. But as John F. Kennedy said, sometimes party loyalty asks too much. And today it asks too much of us.
Buchanan, an influential White House advisor to Presidents Nixon and Reagan, declared war on the Republican and Democratic parties.
Our 2 parties have become nothing but 2 wings on the same bird of prey.
It was the same fiery rhetoric that Buchanan has used for years to stir emotions on trade and foreign policy.
They call us isolationists. Well, if they mean I intend to isolate America from all the bloody territorial, tribal, and ethnic wars of the 21st century, I plead guilty.
The Republican frontrunner, George W. Bush, said today he was confident that the vast majority of conservatives will stay in the party. The same view expressed by Lynn Nofziger, a former Buchanan supporter.
I think most of them will stay in the party because people don't like to throw a vote away.
Buchanan is not assured of the nomination. Governor Jesse Ventura is now rethinking his options, and Donald Trump, also thinking about the Reform Party nomination, wasted no time attacking Buchanan.
He's got a certain group of little wacky people on the very far right, and I'm not even sure it's the right. They're just wacky people.
And don't forget Ross Perot. Before it's over, he may decide they're all too wacky and that he needs to run again to save his party. Phil Jones, CBS News, Washington.
In the federal budget battle, President Clinton ordered the first federal study today into the impact of prescription drug prices on older Americans. This is aimed at countering an expensive campaign by pharmaceutical companies and their allies in Congress. Congressional leaders oppose the president's plan to expand Medicare coverage to include prescription drugs. A veteran U.S. Senate Republican who often broke party ranks to champion health care issues is dead of heart failure. John Chafee of Rhode Island was 77. His long and distinguished career included a stint as U.S. Navy Secretary. He was a key supporter of the 1990 Clean Air Act. He was among Senate Republicans who voted against conviction in President Clinton's impeachment trial. Senator Chafee announced in March he would not seek a 5th term. Next now on the CBS Evening News, the seeds of a new debate, e-commerce for infertility versus basic ethics.
Intrigue is now the first and only mid-size car with a precision control system. It gives you better control over the unexpected. Intrigue by Oldsmobile. Start something.
Today, millions of people are living fuller lives, free to go and do whatever they please, whenever they please. All because of the extra protection they get from Depend. Leading store brands are 50% more likely to leak than Depend. So get Depend and get all the confidence you need to live life to the fullest. Get all you want out of life with Depend.
Out here, I'm in command. So am I supposed to say, slow down, guys, I'm constipated? I don't think so. You try to eat right. Sometimes you can't. Harsh chemical laxatives, they can kick in whenever and wherever. Not an option. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. It's got 100% natural fiber. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
What if you could treat wrinkles like an expert would? With Rock, the #1 anti-wrinkle cream in France, you can. Developed with dermatologists, Rock's pure and active form of vitamin A works deeper, inside skin surface. In a 12-week study, the appearance of fine lines was reduced by 86%, wrinkles by 42%. Something more superficial beauty treatments could never promise. Rock, we keep our promises.
On the CBS Market Watch, the housing market cooled as mortgage rates climbed in September. Sales of used homes were off 2.1%. Stocks declined today as Wall Street worried about still higher interest rates and possible inflation. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 120 points. Internet stocks held the NASDAQ up. It dropped less than a point. There's a new chapter tonight in the cutting-edge conflict over what is medically possible, legally permissible, and ethically desirable. This time, the point of conflict is an online offer of human eggs for sale from fashion models. What's more, as CBS's Elizabeth Caledon reports, a photographer is the Eggman middleman.
The website is called Ron's Angels, brainchild of fashion photographer Ron Harris, who says he just thought the world needed a little more beauty.
My plan was to not be any connected to any fertility clinic or any doctors, simply to be a middleman, to use my artistic sense to find beautiful girls, take beautiful photographs of them, put them up on the web.
Harris's site profiles fashion models willing to auction off their eggs to infertile couples. The models set the price, ranging from $15,000 to $150,000. Harris tacks on a 20% commission. It's legal, it's for real, and it has enraged doctors who specialize in infertility.
He's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur. The medical community, I would say, is outraged at what he's doing and trying to profit as an egg broker and taking advantage of couples trying to conceive.
Doctors routinely try to match the appearance of egg donors to the appearance of potential parents, but there are never any guarantees that the genetic soup cooked up by egg and sperm will look anything like the parents.
What he's doing is he's trying to create a super race.
Harris says not so. He's only selling what everyone really wants.
You'd like to have beautiful children if you can get, you like to give every advantage to your child. If a child is pretty, it has an advantage. If it has a talent, it has an advantage. If it's smart, it has an advantage.
Harris has been overwhelmed by the reaction to his fledgling business, saying the website has had millions of visitors. Perhaps that's what upsets infertility specialists the most. Not that ronsangels.com is out there, but that there are enough desperate people out there who will be susceptible to the dreams he is trying to sell. Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News, New York.
The last of three white men is on trial in Texas for the murder of a black man dragged to death behind a pickup truck. Jury selection began today in the trial of 24-year-old Sean Allen Berry in his hometown of Jasper, where the crime took place last year. James Byrd Jr. was chained to the back of Berry's truck, but in a prison interview, Berry said that he was only a horrified witness. His two companions have already been convicted and sentenced to die. In Laramie, Wyoming, a jury was selected today in the trial of a second man charged with the murder of gay college student Matthew Shepard, who was lashed to a fence and left to die. Aaron McKinney could get the death penalty. His companion, Russell Henderson, pleaded guilty and is now serving 2 life sentences. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, countdown to 2000. Making new cells young again. It could be the key to longer life in the 21st century.
Can a sunset make you happy? A child's laugh? A warm breeze? No, not without emotional well-being inside. Now to help support the emotional wellness needed to enjoy life, there's Sammy from Nature Made. This natural supplement used around the world is now here for you. Nature Made Sam E, because happiness comes from the inside.
This Social Security measure.
In 1935, FDR helped millions of Americans retire with less worry. Today, we're picking up where he left off. Introducing the Retirement Income Manager from T. Rowe Price, a unique advisory service that helps you determine how much of your retirement savings you can comfortably spend each month for the rest of your life. The Retirement Income Manager. We believe FDR would have approved. Call 1-TRP-4-RETIRE for more information.
Right now at LensCrafters, you can get a complete pair of great-looking glasses for only $99 in your choice of hundreds of the latest styles.
The LensCrafters $99 complete pair sale.
Only $99. You can't afford to miss an offer like this.
Hurry, offer ends soon.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
Also try genuine Bear Gel Caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. Bear Gel Caps, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
There are 68 days now until the year 2000. Tonight, the CBS Evening News begins a series looking ahead to what you can expect in the 21st century. For one thing, expect people to live longer. Americans born in 1900 had a life expectancy of just 47 years. Those born at the start of the 21st century will have a good chance to see the start of the 22nd. 60 Minutes correspondent and longevity expert Mike Wallace has tonight's countdown to 2000.
The women's 55 high jump at 8 o'clock this morning here at the track and field complex.
Mary Bowermaster refuses to let time slow her down. At 82, she's a world-class track and field athlete,
Bowermaster on deck.
competing at the National Senior Games,
That's my best one.
the Olympics for the over 50 set.
There you go.
They're beautiful.
They're
I think
excellent.
You did a
this
great
time.
job.
We need about 5 more from you now.
I tell you.
She works hard to keep fit. Runs 2 miles a day, every day, in the months before a meet.
It's hard to believe. You can stop right here. You're tiring me out, Mary. Knock it off.
Knock it off.
A late comer to competitive sports,
I have about 450 medals.
Mary was 63 and recovering from breast cancer when she first hit the track.
After I had my mastectomy, this opened up a whole new world for me. The window just opened up.
Today, Mary is a phenomenon, breaking senior records. But researchers who study aging say that what's exceptional in 1999 may well be the norm in the new millennium.
And Mary Bowermaster's first.
Baby boomers will push average lifespan another 20 years, living into their 90s and beyond.
In 50 or 100 years, I would be disappointed if we could not extend human lifespan by 30 to 50 years.
Scientists already have some clues to the mystery of extending life. Exercise helps, but genes also play a crucial role.
Congratulations.
5 of Mary's siblings lived into their 70s and 80s, and her grandmother lived to be 94.
These are sisters born at the same time.
These mice may help answer the question of how people age. Dr. Richard Miller is manipulating mouse genes and is getting surprising results.
The small mouse has a mutation in the dwarf gene, and that mutation is going to make it live, on average, 30 or 40% longer than its brothers or sisters, like this large, normal-sized mouse here.
Is it their size or a change in the hormones they produce? That is what Miller is investigating.
By learning how the genes work, we could learn enough about aging itself to be able to manipulate it and to slow it down in some way.
Adding years to life is one thing, but doctors Jerry Shea and Woodring Wright want to make sure they are healthy years. As we age, our cells do not reproduce the same way they did when we were younger. That may contribute to the body's inability to repair damage as it grows old. But what if you could immortalize cells? These human heart cells grown in the lab could make old hearts young again. Cellular rejuvenation may be a way to keep old age at bay.
It's not inconceivable that one could take something equivalent to a vitamin pill that would help keep our cells functioning at their optimal level.
Extending the lifespan of cells could help lengthen our lives.
Rather than just simply curing the diseases that occur because we get old, we'll be able to change the clock. We'll be able to change the counting mechanism so that physiologically we will stay younger much longer.
Science probably won't solve the complex puzzle of aging in Mary Bowermaster's lifetime, but she's got a prediction.
You're 82.
82.
How long are you going to live?
Oh, 100 anyway.
Are you?
I'd love to.
So you really look forward to maybe making it to 100 or beyond?
Who knows? I might even be doing this. We might be sitting here from each other when I'm 100.
I hope so.
I hope so, too.
I'll be 99.
Well, all right. We'll just grow old together. That's what we'll do.
And we'll be rooting for both of you.
That was a real scare with my overactive bladder. I was going so often. Then bottom of the ninth, suddenly I had to go. But that time, I didn't think I'd make it. That did it. I asked my doctor about Detrol.
Overactive bladder is a medical condition. Today's prescription Detrol is proven effective to treat it. Detrol helps control bladder contractions that cause those sudden urges. Detrol reduced bathroom visits by 2.2 times in 24 hours versus 1.1 times with placebo. 1.2 fewer wedding accidents occurred with Detrol versus 0.8 fewer with placebo. Similar decreases over 24 hours. If you have certain types of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, do not take Detrol. The most common side effect is dry mouth. Some others may include dry eyes, headache, constipation, and indigestion.
7th inning. Need a break?
Not right now. Thanks to Detrol.
Ask your doctor about prescription Detrol, proven effective to treat overactive bladder.
I need strong arthritis relief. I want soft skin. Now I get both.
Introducing new Arthricare hand and body lotion. Fast relief of minor arthritis pain plus special skin softeners. Arthricare lotion. Pain relief plus moisturizers.
All in one.
Great meal. Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster.
Hey, want to go for ice cream?
Gas X, the power to fight gas fast.
Fortunately, there's Nasonex nasal spray, an effective nasal allergy prescription medicine taken once a day to relieve nasal allergy symptoms, indoors and out. Now that's wonderful. The most common side effects were headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
Updating our top story, the crash of the wayward jet that killed golfer Payne Stewart and at least 4 others. CBS's Maureen Maher is at the scene where the out-of-control Learjet finally crashed in South Dakota. Maureen?
Dan, after a 5-hour phantom flight across the nation's midsection, witnesses here in Mina, South Dakota said there was no sound, only the sight of Payne Stewart's Learjet dropping from the sky like a rag doll falling to the ground. The plane exploded upon impact in an open pasture just a couple of miles outside of town. No one on the ground was injured, but there were only bits and pieces left for investigators to sift through. As you can see in this video from our CBS affiliate KELO, it was not a fiery crash, and that's because there was no fuel left on board. Immediately after the crash, representatives from the FAA and the NTSB were dispatched to the scene. But again, as you can now see behind me, there just is not a lot left from the plane for them to go through. Dan?
Maureen Maher in South Dakota, thanks. And that's part of our world tonight. There'll be more about this bizarre story on this CBS station later in the evening. Dan Rather reporting for the CBS Evening News. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online at keyword CBS News.
The Early Show with Brian Gumbel and Jane Clayson starting November 1st. Experience CBS News.
The #1 newscast at 6 o'clock for the people of Portland, Vancouver, and the Pacific Northwest with Shirley Hancock and Mike Donahue.